Right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that short video from narrated by Daniel Pink, and he's focused on what actually motivates us. And I know he was referring primarily to the business world and how income and greater pay or financial rewards can not actually result in better work from workers, but that when you give somebody more autonomy, they actually thrive and will produce better work or products. But in our case, what we want to do is by providing more autonomy for our students so that they will learn more and achieve more. And so what we want to think about is how self-assessment can be one space that we can help our students find that room for their own self-direction and autonomy. So if we go back and think about the formative assessment cycle, we start always with clear learning targets and make sure that the students understand what quote unquote good or strong work looks like, what the end goal is. After they've made an attempt and we've given them some descriptive feedback ourselves, as they continue to work toward that learning goal or target, now is the time to introduce and have them begin the work of evaluating their own progress and engage in peer and or self-assessment and starting to set their own individual learning goals. And I know it seems like a lot to ask a student, especially when some of them seem so disengaged or maybe apathetic to the learning process in general. But I want you to think about something for a second, and this might be a way to help your students understand this as well. This process occurs outside of school all the time, and we readily engage in it when it has to do with our hobbies or passions, a sport, whatever it might be. So here's my example. I wanted to learn how to ride a bike with clip-in pedals. So this was my goal. Along the way, of course, I had some friends that were already cycling and using clipless pedals, so they advised me how to buy and yada, yada, yada. But of course, the first couple of times I went out, I ended up like this character, falling over, unable to clip out. They gave me feedback on what I needed to do to clip in and out more quickly, to maintain my balance, all that stuff. And I soaked it up and used it to get better. Why doesn't that same process work in our classrooms? I think we need to explicitly teach it to our students. Because even though they live it outside of school quite frequently with things that they care about, when they get to academics, for many of them, it's always been a space where they have quote unquote failed or not done very well. And so they're hesitant to think about bringing that same sort of growth mindset. Here it is again, that attitude, that willingness to like, oh yeah, I can self-check their own work to keep moving forward in our classrooms. So here's one sort of pathway to helping students develop their own assessment skills, and one that I've used in the past that's pretty successful. The key is, of course, to get the students involved right from the beginning. Work with them together to decide what success is going to look like and how you're going to know it when you get there. So you may also be thinking, just like it was with feedback, that you do not have time to teach all these lovely self-assessment skills, Rydell. And it's true, there's a lot that needs to get done. But again, one possibility, just like with feedback, is that you don't necessarily have to teach your kids to self-assess their growth on everything. What you want to do is think about what the essential skills and or knowledge is in your discipline, and then pick one that you're going to focus on with your students in terms of giving them feedback, but also preparing them or helping them learn how to evaluate their own progress when it comes in relation to that skill or that essential knowledge in the discipline. You don't have to do it all. And then help them develop their own self-assessment plan. So this is one way to think about doing this that can empower our students, give them some more space for autonomy and self-direction in our classrooms than they typically have. So that's just a little short introduction to self-assessment, and hopefully it'll help you with the second part of your formative assessment plan. I don't know if you remember when I talked during the formative assessment screencast. We talked about you're going to develop a formative assessment plan. The draft is due on June 4th. The first part of it is identifying what formative assessment routines that you're going to use consistently in your classroom. But the second part is what we just talked about. How are you going to work toward encouraging your students to assess their own learning? I'd like you to think about what Daniel Pink discussed in the video, and also the suggestions I've made here. So specifically what you're going to do is identify one skill or a body of essential knowledge in your discipline that should be a focus for students' own evaluation of their own progress and growth. And that'll be for the second part of your formative assessment plan. Remember, this is a draft. Do not worry. Just as I've been trying to suggest here to you, I will be giving you copious feedback in an effort to help you clarify your own thinking and develop a plan that will be actionable and easy for you to implement in the fall when you get into your classroom. All right, thank you.